welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
When you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with ASU
The
strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Hello, good morning and welcome here to Global Television. I'm Uyag Mofebe. This is Global Morning. On the Friday, yes, there's a great weekend starts on a Friday. Mine has started, ours has started. Hopefully it's same for yours. Well, what can I say? The working week wraps up today. Hopefully you've done the much within your ability and under whatever circumstances in which you find yourself to be able to get worth or some value for this week. Friday is a big day for most people. It is for me, whether I'm working or not. Of course, today I'm working. Many people are working as well. In some cities, it is half-day work, depending on what the prevalent rules are. But in all, let's stay grateful as the working week wraps up today. For whatever it's worth, I'm sure every Nigerian who has, on the average, followed the news will agree that this week has been very, very eventful. As a matter of fact, this has been one of the most eventful weeks in recent times in the history of this administration. I mean, the government of President Bola Tinubu, giving particularly the sack and appointments of ministers just about 2 days ago, arising from the Federal Executive Council meeting. Incidentally, there are still reactions to that development. Ordinarily, one would have thought, well, ministers have been relieved of their jobs, new ones have been appointed. Next thing is, well, Senate screening for confirmation, and then we move on as usual. But we've seen reactions and again trailing this very move of the president. Bayo Nanduga, special advisor to the president on media and strategy, has said that, look, the president took that action on the basis of the feedback he got from Nigerians. So it's, of course, in alignment with what he has said last year when he did say there will be reassessment, or I mean assessment from time to time, and the feedback that Nigerians give will determine what happens to those that he has selected and ultimately appointed to help drive his renewed hope agenda. But just yesterday, we spoke with some people on and off television who said there are still a couple of individuals in this cabinet that ought to have also been shown the way out so that new hands can come in. But then I'm sure that's a conversation we can all decide to have at some point, maybe by way of debate of some kind. But what the president has done now is really nothing new. We've seen presidents right from the days of Obasanjo, for example, even within his first term in office, all right, do a reshuffle, rejig its cabinet, send some people away, bring in some new people. At some point, some presidents didn't even have to send anyone away. They just had to reshuffle, all right? You take one person from here and bring another person from over there just to realign your cabinets for efficiency and productivity and what have you. But sometimes political patronage and other factors can get in the way of best judgment. But the president, when he inaugurated his team of men and women on the 21st of August 2023, had said that he had confidence in their ability to deliver the goods. But then nothing is cast in concrete. At some point, he says it was very evident that some of them were not bringing as much value as had been expected of them. So we have a new president on board now. Hopefully, the president has said 30th of October is the deadline for this whole issue to be resolved. So starting from first week of November, they should, in the president's words, hit the ground running as well across their various ministries. Right? Well, that's one of the issues. The other issue with this rejig or reshuffle, if you like, is that the Niger Delta now has a couple of individuals who are saying that the idea of scrapping the Niger Delta ministry doesn't sit well with them. And one of such persons, perhaps I should say, the lead persons in this regard is Chief Edwin Clark, who says there was no need scrapping that ministry, even though Bayo Nanuga, again, special advisor on information and strategy to President Bola Tinubu, says that shouldn't be a problem. After all, there's now a ministry that is going to cater to all of the development commissions, all right, in the country, whether the Northeast, the Northwest, the Southwest, or the South, and what have you, all right. Again, that's where you now have Honorable Abubakar Momo, who before now was Minister of the Niger Delta ministry, all right. Then others say you ought not to have removed sports. Somebody like this, the former sports minister, Lalong says that, Lalong said there was no need removing sports ministry, that you should have left sports ministry. But the government's position is, look, if we can have the National Sports Commission, if we make it work, we do not need sports ministry. Okay, but how much does this serve the interest of Nigeria? Does it cut costs in real time? Will that extra, as it were, rub off on how government is run? Will it make an impact in the way that we see changes, measurable changes in the life and quality of Nigerians? Well, those are some of the issues that we should be interrogating as we make progress. And cost of governance is another element, but let's take a quick break. We'll talk about all of that in the course of the program this morning. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business. Okay, this is that part of the program where we turn to the papers for you. Let's start with the Daily Trust newspaper. First off, headlines above the nameplate, or just immediately beneath the nameplate. Front here says, why blackout will persist in the north. Why blackout will persist in the north. That's according to TCN. I spoke with somebody who lives in the northeast yesterday night. It was the same complaint about blackouts. FG flags off construction of Sokoto Badagry Superhighway. FG flags off construction of Sokoto Badagry Superhighway. 3 killed as helicopter crashes in Rivers. 3 killed as helicopter crashes in Rivers. At about dinner time yesterday, 3 bodies had been recovered already. We understood the police had been dispersed to ensure recovery and then just do their beats. Again, investigation is ongoing right now. So it's a cross-agency task that is being carried out. But then we have the big story still on the front page of the Daily Trust today. Cost of governors, Tinubu limit ministers' convoys to 3 vehicles. Lead by example, CSOs tell presidents, governors. World Bank offers 4-point plan to reduce government spending. What exactly are those 4 points plans? Well, you can find out details when you pick up a copy of today's issue of Daily Trust newspaper. All right. Why Tinubu sacked Mamman, Uju, others? Nigerians have been very curious. Well, you know what they say about curiosity. They've been wondering what exactly is the reason the president sacked Professor Tahir Mamman, former Minister of Education, Uju Kennedy or Aneye, former Minister of Women Affairs, and a couple of other people, including Dr. Ngozi, Uzoka Aniete, Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry, and a couple of others. Well, you can find details for yourself, even though we know that Bayo Onanuga says that this action was purely based on the feedback that the president got from citizens. Okay, but just read up page 4 of the Daily Trust and you find some of these insights right there. And then we have headlines just by the foot of the front cover. Nigeria joins BRICS as partner country. Did I hear you say finally? No deadline on circulation of old Naira notes, CBN. Obviously, there's some response to the National Assembly now asking the CBN, well, I think the word is urging the CBN to reduce the use of old Naira notes. All right, should stop printing the 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira denominations. But the CBN say, hey, look, even though, yes, we are hearing that there's a deadline of December 31st, 2024, there is actually no deadline to this thing. Well, we hope this doesn't degenerate into a back and forth between the leadership of the Senate and the Central Bank of Nigeria. The right thing should be done. We understand there's a subsisting court order as far as this matter is concerned. All parties involved should align themselves with that court order. And of course, if there has to be anybody seeking a reversal of this court order in particular, of course, you have to go back to the courts to make that happen, right? Last headline from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Passengers are entitled to 10,000 Naira, $170 for delayed luggage. That's according to NCAA. Hopefully passengers, particularly in Nigeria, are listening to this. Okay. Then we have a few more papers for you this morning beyond the Daily Trust. So let's see these other ones real quick right here on the front page of the papers, of Nigerian dailies today. But this time we're turning to the leadership. Right, let's see what the leadership has got for us. We'll begin from the stories above the name mast of Friday, the Leadership Friday. One here with a picture of Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugar. It says Nigeria, 12 others join BRICS as partner countries. Of course, that story is replicated across news dailies today. Former NEC chairman Humphrey Owonsu dies at 83. Yes, if you followed, the election of 1993, one that many Nigerians now say is the most credible in the political history of this country. The man that midwifed that election, the man who actually was the head of NEC, as it then was, Nigeria Electoral Commission, now Independent Electoral Commission, is said to have died at 83, talking about Humphrey Owonsu. All right, then we have a few other headlines here. Government-owned arms in terrorist hands stolen. That's according to DHQ. All right, Defense Headquarters says the government-owned arms in the hands of terrorists were stolen. Recall that a few days ago, Nuhu Ribadu, the National Security Advisor, has said that there are criminal elements in the police and armed forces who sell arms and ammunition, all right, to terrorists and bandits and kidnappers. Apparently, this is the Defense Headquarters responding to the statement by the NSA to say that, look, yes, there may be government-owned arms in the hands of criminals, but they were stolen. It's not as if they were sold to them. But then I would believe that the onus lies on the NSA to pursue this to a logical conclusion if his office has proof to that effect. You can't have people who are trusted, who are giving public trust, whether in the police or in the military, sell arms and ammunition to people who are warring against the country, and then you treat it with kid gloves. All right, so this is a matter that should be taken with all seriousness. Then we have the star story here that says $1.5 billion dairy imports. Tinubu begins livestock reforms, rallies governor's support. The two writers here say FG eyes revenue from 821 million cattle, sheep, goats, chickens, pigs. Will invest, support reforms. Abdul Razak, that's the governor of Kwara State. Recall that the president yesterday said that, look, as a country, we made a mistake for abandoning or not paying as much attention to livestock as we ought to have done. However, we are here now to correct that mistake, and obviously that's the reason this government has set up the Livestock Development Ministry, or Ministry of Livestock Development, to complement or work hand in hand with the already existing Ministry of Agriculture. All right, there's one here with a picture of the president. Says cost of governance, ministerial convoy cuts to 3 vehicles. Last but not least, 8 feared dead in Rivers helicopter crash. Okay. Settle beggars, Northern Democrats tell FG governors. Here at the Federal Capital Territory, the minister, Nyesom Wike, is saying that starting from Monday, there has to be a way to deal with issues around begging and beggars. All right. But some civil society organizations, particularly the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, says that that's not the way to go about this. Instead, the minister and indeed the government at all levels should allow these people enjoy whatever it is they are entitled to, all right, as part of their socio-economic rights. Okay, so it's going to be an issue of dialogue ultimately, even though we know SERAP is now threatening litigation if the Minister of the FCT does not do something real quick about this. Okay, let's take it a bit further this morning, but this time we turn to the New Telegraph for you. The New Telegraph also has quite a number of stories on the front page of it, but let's begin with the big one here. It says no deadline on circulation of old Naira notes, says CBN. What rider do we have here? A Supreme Court order extending use of old Naira notes indefinitely subsists, debunks reports that old Naira notes will cease to be legal tender on December 31. Okay, some people will say, well, why don't you just stay till December 21? Wait till December 31 and see what happens at that point, but that probably will be too late. So this is the best time to determine exactly what the implications are on the basis of the ruling by the Supreme Court. All right, but let's look at a few more headlines for you from the Telegraph, the New Telegraph. That is one story here with a picture of Governor of Enugu State, talking about Dr. Peter Mba. It says Enugu workers will earn 80,000 naira minimum wage from October, says Mba. LG workers, primary school teachers too. Right, sounds like some great story, but people will say, what will that do in light of the current economic realities that Nigerians are up against? Okay, Bianca Ojukwu's ministerial appointments downplays party loyalty. That's according to Anambra APC. All right, so hopefully we don't go political about this as well. What more do we have here? Ex-NEC chair Professor Humphrey Wosu dies in U.S. hospital. He died uncelebrated. That's according to Ohaneze Indigbo. All right. What's more, our Commonwealth leaders to defy UK on slavery reparations. We understand that reparations as a conversation is not part of the items listed to be discussed, all right, at the ongoing Commonwealth events in Samoa. But then we are hearing now that there are countries who are talking, making efforts to ensure that this issue is brought to the table and discussed by all means and at all costs. If that happens, or at whatever time it does happen, it means that there's the likelihood that the British authorities will have to pay billions in pounds to several countries across the world, of course, including Nigeria. All right, let's go further down, but this time to the right corner of the New Telegraph today. Says lawmakers demand money from varsities during oversight functions. That's done. What is the money supposed to be for? Logistics or to just appreciate the boys? All right, well, you can find details on page 2 of the New Telegraph today. Ohaneze, fresh crisis brews over Iwayanwu's successor. All right, but we understand the man will be buried this weekend. Why don't we just wait for him to rest and then we can continue with the fighting, right? Customs launches new management system to boost trade efficiency. Flood, Ododo provides relief materials, drills boreholes at IDP camps. That's in Kogi State. Cost of governors, Tinubu orders cuts in ministers, orders convoys, security personnel. And then here it says, directs NSA to engage military orders on new policy, asks Senate to confirm 7 ministerial nominees, says Nigeria spends $1.5 billion on dairy food imports. What's more, laments long-term neglect of livestock sector. Depression, restlessness, others can be triggered by masturbation. That study says depression, restlessness, others can be triggered by masturbation. That's according to study on page 28 of today's issue of the New Telegraph. The last one here we need to look at just above the nameplate. It reads, AFC invests $13.2 billion to boost infrastructure in Nigeria. Others on page 7. All right, that's what we'll leave it here on the New Telegraph. Let's turn to the Nigerian Tribune just before we take a break. Let's look at the Nigerian Tribune quickly. Above the name mast here, picture of Governor of Ogun State, Dakpo Abiodun. It says residents trapped, others relocate as flood ravages Ogun communities. Army arrest IPOB founder in Imo. Commander 10 others in Abia. Cost of governance. Tinubu limits ministers' convoy to 3. Does that answer the question? Does it solve the problem? Well, we'll find out. And then when you take it a bit further down, it says FG flags off construction of 1,068 kilometers Sokoto Badagry Highway. All right. Humphrey Wosu, ex-NEC chairman, dies. Peter Obi mourns. Mba approves 80,000 naira minimum wage for Enugu workers. And then what does the Star story say? Investigation begins as oil workers die in helicopter crash. 3 bodies recovered, 5 still missing. Crashed chopper was heading to our facility. NNPCL says how we activated rescue coordination activities. That's according to NEMA. What's more, pilots revealed as NAAPE Vice President. Quite a sad event from yesterday afternoon. Nigeria, 12 others join BRICS. That's the coalition of, let's see now, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. 5 nations, they started this journey, but today we understand quite a number of other countries are joining, including Egypt, United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, and now Nigeria, and 12 others have also been co-opted, even though we hear they are not yet, they've not attained full membership status, but they've just started the journey, but it's a concern for the G20s and the G7s of this world already. But of course, nations will think along the lines of interest before anything else. Let's see how this pans out and how Nigeria will also play pivotal role in BRICS going forward. Okay, PTT Nupeng threatens strike over seizure of loaded trucks by IGP's team. Neglect of livestock for foreign dairy, a mistake. That's Tinubu. Well, that just makes a lot of common sense now, doesn't it? Nigeria's public debt soars by 10.35%, reaching 134.3 trillion naira. That's a whole lot of debt for one country. Senators in heated argument over funding for regional commissions. We hear now that they are approving 15% state funding for these commissions. As Senate passes bills for 3 regional commissions, well, everybody wants to have a commission. We want to have the Northeast, the Northwest, the North Central. Of course, we want to have the Northeast as well. I mean, the Southeast as well. But Southeast and North Central have been the real concern recently, even though we know that Southwest and South have always had their own development commissions. But hopefully, we're able to fund these commissions. It is not just to have the commissions to pacify these different zones or regions. It is more importantly about how we are able to fund them in ways that are, well, measurably adequate, and then, of course, get them to fulfill their mandates to their respective zones or regions that they're supposed to serve, right? We're taking a quick break. When we return shortly, the rest of papers and, of course, headlines will continue. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Points on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns, and curves in bands, stocks, and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Okay, so we return to the papers right now, but this time the Daily Times. Okay, on the front page of the Times, it says above the nameplate, Akpabio's impeachment rumor, FG files 6 counts charge against 9 for spreading false information. June 12, 1993, presidential poll umpire Humphrey Wonsu dies at 84. Well, one other story says it's 83. All right. You find those details on page 5. No deadline on circulation of Naira notes, says CBN. Troops arrests IPOB terrorist leader, commander, neutralize 140 others across Nigeria. Then if you look at the star story here, reads Senator splits over funding for zonal development commissions as lawmakers reject immunity for commission's chief executives. Why do they need to have immunity in the first place? Well, I'm just asking because it's a bit of a curious conversation to have in the first instance, right? On the right end of the front page, it says Tinubu issues new directives on reduction in costs of governance. What are these directives? Well, the writers here will show us. Ministers, heads of MDAs restricted to a maximum of 3 vehicles in official convoys. Affected appointees to have at most 5 security personnel attached to them. We're trying to cut costs here, but some civil society organizations are now telling President Tinubu and governors across Nigeria to also lead by example. Why 37 LCDAs can't have same status as old LGs? That's Lagos Assembly here. All right, so local government autonomy is a leveler indeed. So again, we are back to LCDAs in Lagos now. All right, let's move away from that and turn to the Guardian newspaper for you. On the front page of the Guardian today, we have quite a number of stories, as is always the case. But let's see what the big one is on the Guardian newspaper. Calls for military intervention. Misery, harsh policies driving Nigerians to desperate choices. FG begins reform of obsolete laws. Nigeria records 83 polio virus type 2 cases. Court speaks November 14, 20 to hear from Yahaya Bello. Lagos Ogun urge residents of low-lying areas to relocate over water release from Oya Dam. Helicopter crash. NSIB begins probe as search continues for missing passengers. U.S. grateful as alien Binance chief departs Nigeria after 8 months. Troops arrest IPOB founder, commander, kill 140 terrorists. No deadline on old Naira notes, says CBN as reps push for new ones. Tinubu orders cutting measures as Senate begins screening on Tuesday. Well, this is long overdue, but they say better late than never. You can't have a country where you put so much into recurrent expenditure and there's next to nothing left for capital expenditure, and then you expect the country to be on the path of growth and well, that trajectory of prosperity. It doesn't work like that. You can't do one thing the same way over a long time and expect a different result. So it will appear government is now beginning to realize that we have been so much of talk with little or no action, and now President says ministers and all of those heads of MDAs, that is ministries, departments and agencies, are not entitled to anything more than 3 vehicles in their official convoys, and cannot have more than 5 security detail attached to them. But the question is, isn't that still on the high side, basically? Well, what do we do? Let's just actually keep our fingers crossed and see how this debate will go. Because as is always the case with many of the initiatives that government announces, these two will, in all likelihood, receive mixed reactions. All right. Let's go to a different paper this morning, The Nation, a newspaper. That's our next port of call for you. All right, on the front page of the Nation newspaper, it says 6 NNPCL officials aboard chopper that crashed into ocean. 3 bodies recovered. NAPE mourns pilots. President orders military to join rescue team. IMF projects reduction in Nigeria's debt to GDP ratio. Global debt to exceed $100 trillion. Did I hear you say that is a lot of money? Nigeria is already doing 134.3 trillion naira in debt. If you do that in dollar, the figure is still as high as you can imagine already. All right. Let's go to the top of the nameplate of the Nation newspaper this beautiful Friday morning. It has a picture of the wanted Bello Turji. It says, "Get me bandit boss, Turji, Defense Minister orders troops." Governors ranching best bet to end herder farmer crisis. Hopefully the new Ministry of Livestock Development will help drive this initiative. Enugu okays 80,000 naira wage. VP Shetima Samoa CHOGN trip aborted. 37 Lagos LCDAs stay. All right, but State House of Assembly says that the LCDAs cannot have the same exact status as the local government system that used to be. All right, what's more, here it says government's cost-saving plan limits ministers' convoy security. NSA to ensure compliance by security chiefs. Bianca, 6 others are likely for Senate screening on Wednesday. A different report says on Tuesday. So we keep an eye out for you to see when this screening will take place. But let's go to the foot of the page, the Nation newspaper this morning. Ofio Wonsu, who conducted Abiola versus Tofa 1993 election, dies at 83. All right, then we have the Punch newspaper. Let's move to the Punch newspaper for you. All right, on the front page of the Punch, presidency, it says cabinet reshuffle. Presidency defense Tinubu as FG slashes ministers' vehicles aids. One writer with that headline, FG differs as clerk others allege lopsidedness. Tinubu seeks Senate confirmation. All right. Above the nameplate, Senate okays 15% state funding for regional development commissions. A broken aircraft windscreen aborts Shetima Samoa trip. Naira devaluation pushes FG state's debt to 134 trillion naira, but it seems we're not done borrowing now, are we? Tropical storm leaves 24 dead in Philippines flooding. Military NEMA comb sea for crashed helicopters passengers. Police hunt gunmen as 9 killed in fresh Anambra attack. Pensioners threaten protest as FG 4 states owe 193 billion naira. Hopefully these debts are paid so that these people who have served the nation in various capacities can have a breath of fresh air. All right, 2 more headlines before we take a break and bring you a few more papers this morning. APC, PDP, others prepare for mock accreditation.
Ayedatiwa prioritizes health NNPP queries governor's manifesto. All right, these are the headlines from the Punch newspaper this morning. We're taking another break now, everyone. When we return, we have two more papers for you. That will be just before the AM news here on Global Morning. Now let's go to this day newspaper. The big story first. Lopobiri, FG targets doubling of 37 billion barrels, 37 billion barrels oil reserves with improved exploration. Lopobiri, FG targets doubling of 37 billion barrel as oil reserves with improved exploration. Okay, there has 3 riders here. All 8 persons on board helicopter en route NNPC oil facility dead. Tinubu urges military to join a search rescue mission. NSIB launches investigation as minister mourns. All right, those are the basic stories here this morning, but there's one more on the front page of this day newspaper. Says Shatima cancels CHOGM trip as plane's windshield is damaged at JFK Airport in New York. All right. Well, those are the stories from the this day, but I think we have a few more to look at for you still on this day newspaper. At the very top, just above the nameplate, say CBN, no retirement date for road Naira banknotes remain legal tender indefinitely. The writer tells us as House asks Apex Bank to phase out old currency notes, says, and I see that for you, says banks should cease to pay customers with old denominations, donates 100 million naira to victims of Jigawa tanker explosion. All right, then we have just one more headline from this day newspaper this morning. Wale Edu, World Bank supports critical for empowering Nigerian women-led businesses. You can read all those details on page 5 of this day newspaper for yourself. All right, let's go look at the last one this morning. That is the Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard will have us begin from the headlines above the nameplate top left corner. It says all 8 passengers in Bonny helicopter disaster feared dead. So far, we've confirmed that 3 bodies have been recovered while search and rescue continues. All right, FG sets up 46-man committee to review obsolete laws. Catholic Church condemns FG's alleged move to legalize abortion. FG to raise VAT on luxury goods to 15%. The Minister of Finance, who is also the Minister of, coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has said that this 15% value-added tax is not going to be across board. That is essentially on luxury goods, and that those who are poor and vulnerable in the country will be shielded from this new tax, if you like, VAT regime. He has even said that they would get as much as 0 rates in this regard, 15% on luxury goods. So you have to watch it. All right. So those are basically the stories or the headlines above the nameplate of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. But the big story says, governance cost, Tinubu orders cuts in ministers' convoys aids. And then what's more, orders military, paramilitary agencies to reduce vehicles, personnel redeployments. How Nigerians' feedback shaped Tinubu's cabinet reshuffle presidency. Ministers assessed based on performance. Metawale retained because allegations linking him to banditry untrue. Why Baja? Who else? Olubumi, Ojo, Edu, others were
retained source. And then retaining Kayamo reflects Tinubu's commitment to aviation growth. That's according to AON, right? As Aviation Organizations of Nigeria. As Tinubu seeks Senate's confirmation of ministerial nominees, we hear that could happen as early as next week, Tuesday. All right. Then what more do we have? A few more headlines. One here says, Reps CBN disagree over validity of old Naira notes. What's more, commence withdrawal of old Naira notes before December 31 deadline. Reps tell CBN. There is no such deadline, CBN replies Reps. Find those details on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. And then we'll take it down to the bottom of the front page. Tinubu laments as Nigeria spends $1.5 billion on dairy imports. National greed has collapsed 162 times in 11 years. That's according to Genco's. Ex-NEC chairman Humphrey Wonsu, 83, dies in U.S. And now a bit of sports. CAF Award, Lukman Troost Ekong nominated Osimhen Boniface, miss out. All right, you can find those headlines, including the Mr. and Mrs. cartoon on the front page of today's issue of the Vanguard newspaper. But above all, be sure to read details for yourself as you make progress into this very, very beautiful day. We're taking a quick break. When we return, it will be time for the AM News. Do stay with us. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Broadcasting is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agmofwebe. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV, channel 365 and free to air on Nightcomsat. President Bola Tinubu has sought the National Assembly's confirmation of the new ministerial nominees announced on Wednesday. The President's request was contained in a letter addressed to the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, and read at the beginning of plenary. He sought for expeditious consideration of his requests by the Senate. The ministerial nominees, as contained in the letter, are Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Dr. Nentawe Yotada, Minister of Labor and Employment, Muhammadu Megari Dingadi, and Minister of State Foreign Affairs, Bianca Odinaka Odumegu Ojukwu, among others. A helicopter on oil and gas shuttle service has crashed off the coast of Port Harcourt, Rivers State. The tragic accident involved a Sikorsky SK-76 helicopter operated by East Wind Aviation and was en route from Port Harcourt military base to the oil rig when it disappeared, indicating a crash. A statement signed by the head press and Public Relations at the Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Odutayo Oluseyi, says the chopper with 8 persons on board crashed into the waters near Bonny Finima in the Atlantic Ocean. The ministry says the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau had been notified and emergency response teams were immediately activated and search and rescue operations were ongoing with the support of the Nigerian Search and Rescue Unit, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, and other relevant agencies. In another development, Minister for Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has visited the Secretary General of the World Meteorological Organization, Professor Andrea Salu, to solicit operational support for the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET. Keyamo stated this in a post via his X handle. He centered his request on areas of capacity building and launching a national roadmap in respect of the early warnings for all initiative by the United Nations, among others. The minister, accompanied by Director General of the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, Professor Charles Anosike, Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland, Ambassador Abiodun Adejola, among others, also requested their organization's support for NIMET in implementing digital climate advisory services for sectoral activities in Nigeria. Newly elected chairmen in last Saturday's local government election in Kaduna State have received their certificates of return from the Kaduna State Independent Electoral Commission. It is worth noting that the local government polls had generated mixed reactions in the state as opposition parties rejected the results declared by the state's electoral body, which stated that the ruling party won all the local government and councillorship seats. During the presentation of the certificates at the Commission's headquarters in Kaduna, the Commission's chairman, Hajara Mohammed, stated that the election was conducted across the state in accordance with the Kaduna State Electoral Law 2024. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Dr. Abdullahi Usman Bello as the new chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau, CCB. The brief ceremony took place ahead of the Federal Executive Council meeting, which was also chaired by the president. Sharon Ajay has details.
After the swearing-in, Dr. Bello spoke to State House correspondents, pledging to tackle corruption through the Bureau. He emphasized the importance of integrity and accountability among public officials, vowing to uphold the agency's mandate. He acknowledged the global nature to corruption but highlighted the significance of having strong systems in place to mitigate it.
I always say that it's not about the individuals. Everybody can be corrupt in the world. It doesn't matter whether you are in the UK, whether in the US, everybody has a tendency to be corrupt. One of the most important things is the systems that we have in place to check it. So if we have the systems in Nigeria, we are going to deal with this problem. So I assure you that we have the systems, we have the institutions. We only need to deliver on the mandate that is given to us.
The CCB, Nigeria's foremost anti-corruption agency, has the mandate in ensuring that public servants act with integrity and avoid conflict of interest. Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.
Thank you, Sharon. The lower of Igbaroke, Oba Adefarakomi Agbede, says traditional rulers in Ondo State have endorsed Governor Lucky Orimiso Ayedatiwa for the November 16 governorship election. The monarch stated this while receiving the governor on a consultation and engagement visits in his palace at Igbaroke, headquarters of a federal local government area, as part of the campaign tour of the governor to the area. Kekalama Okeri was there for Global Television.
The Olowa of Igbaroke, Oba Adefarakomi Agbede, says Governor Ayedatiwa has listening ears and has displayed good character by treating the traditional institution in the state with utmost respect. The monarch says the achievements so far recorded by the governor in his 10 months in office are impressive, which shows that he will perform well if elected for a full term in office. According to Oba Agbede, the people of Igbaroke and Ifedore are solidly behind Governor Ayedatiwa and will vote him en masse on November 16. At the palace of Olujare of Ijare, the Shepetu of Ijare, High Chief Wemimo Olaniyan, speaking on behalf of the traditional rulers in the community, commended Governor Ayedatiwa for his achievement in short period of time. Olaniyan, however, appeals to the governor to prioritize the completion of Okeudu to Ijare Road and address other pressing community needs, pledging the full support of the Ijare community for his election.
Of SCDA Ijare, from the village of Ijare, Owa Obararomi, Eleki of Eti, Odet of Irese, the Alaye of Aye, and the Kota, represented by one of our ICDA, they have keyed into the Ayedatiwa project, and we are promising that we are going to support him.
Governor Ayedatiwa expressed appreciation for the warm reception and unwavering support from the traditional rulers and residents. He assures people of his administration's commitment to meeting their expectations. He emphasized that his administration development agenda is people-centered and promised that ongoing efforts across all sectors will continue to reflect the priorities of the people.
When you talk about grassroots mobilization for positive change, the traditional institution is very key because they reside with the people, they have them as their subjects, and they can easily communicate with them other than the other category of leaders. So that is why most of the time we pay homage to the traditional rulers, because this is where they dwell, they live among their people, and their people actually install them to lead them.
The governor was also at the palace of Alara of Ilaramokin, Oba Abiodun Aderemi Adefeyinti, who commended the governor's developmental efforts and the appointment of sons and daughters of Ifedore into key positions in government. The monarch also reels out the need of the community, which the governor promised to address. Addressing the residents who troop out to welcome him, the governor says his government remains focused on delivering lasting infrastructure and improved service that will benefit every citizen. Earlier, the governor performed the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of Ijare Central Market, a project aimed at boosting local trade and enhancing the economic landscape of the community. From Akure, Kike Lomo Ukeri, Global Television News.
Thank you, Kike Lomo. Let's turn to other stories now. BRICS has officially expanded its alliance, adding 13 new nations as partner countries, though not as full members. The announcement was made during the BRICS summit held in Kazan, Russia from October 22nd to 2024. The 2024 summit themed Strengthening Multilateralism for Fair Global Development and Security marked the 16th annual gathering of the bloc with a focus on enhancing economic integration with key emerging nations. And back home, the Defense Headquarters has confirmed the arrest of one of the founding fathers of the indigenous people of Biafra, Pius Igu. Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, who confirmed the arrest during the bi-weekly briefing of operational activities of the armed forces, explains that Pius Igu is responsible for criminal activities in Orsu area in Imo State. Sharon Ajay has more.
It is another opportunity for the military to update the media on their operational activities across the country. The Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, says troops are not relenting in the fight against terrorism, which resulted in the arrest of some key actors.
The troops of Operation Udoka, Forward Operational Base Osu, in a sting operation, apprehended a terrorist leader belonging to the indigenous people of Biafra and the Eastern Security Network terrorist group, known as Mr. Pius Igu.
The director says the ongoing military operations have successfully curbed large-scale oil theft, recovering over 1.75 billion naira worth of stolen crude oil in the past week.
During the week under review, troops neutralized 140 terrorists and arrested 135 of them, thereby destroying their fighting capabilities and weakening their military capabilities as well. The troops also rescued 76 kidnapped hostages, which is indicative of our commitment to guarantee the safety and security of citizens, which we will continue to do more of that.
The military high command further calls on citizens to continue to support the military's efforts, emphasizing the importance of collaboration in combating terrorism and illegal activities. Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.
The Defense Headquarters has explained how non-state actors have been obtaining arms. According to the military high command, the Libyan conflict and instability in the Sahel have allowed arms to flow into Nigeria, exacerbating the country's insurgency and terrorism crisis. Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, disclosed this in response to allegations made by the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, who had said a sizable number of illicit arms used to commit crimes in the country originally belonged to the government. Still on defense matters, Minister of Defense Mohammed Badaru has ordered troops of Operation Fansar-Yama to arrest the notorious bandit leader Bello Turji. The minister gave the order while addressing the troops of the 1 Brigade headquarters in Gusau, Zamfara State. Sharon Ajay tells us more.
The Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru, who is in Zamfara State for operational visit to the headquarters of Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Fansar-Yama, also visited Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal in an effort to tackle the menace of insecurity bedeviling the state. The minister applauded the commitment of Governor Dauda Lawal in restoring peace in Zamfara State, while reiterating President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commitment to improve the welfare of troops and restoring peace across the country. While addressing the troops, the minister ordered troops of Operation Fazayama to arrest the notorious bandit leader, Bello Turji.
And I want to assure you that the federal government is committed to seeing the improvement of security and peace restored in Zamfara State and the country. And I assure you that President is doing all he can to support the armed forces and the states to make sure that security is restored.
In his address, Governor Dauda Lawal reaffirms his government's total support to the military to win the war.
As responsible government, we are doing our best, and we are cooperating with all the security agencies in terms of any kind of assistance ranging from logistics, in order to make them also comfortable to be able to perform their function effectively. We are committed to that. And I'm assuring the Honorable Minister, as well as the Theatre Commander and GOC, that Zamfara State remain committed to provide any assistance that you require.
The minister's visit is coming barely 48 hours after Governor Dauda Lawal and his Katsina State counterpart, Diko Rada, visited the minister and the NSA in Abuja. Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.
Sharon Ajay there following defense developments for us. Thank you, Sharon. You're watching the AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When the AM News returns, Palestinian ambassador alleges over 170,000 killed seeks end to carnage. Details of these as well as other stories, including business and sports for you, right after this break. Do stay with us. This is Global Television, bringing you a live broadcast of news, the AM News. Thank you for staying with us. In business, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has confirmed that the federal government plans to raise value-added tax VAT to 15%. This is as he clarified that the increase would primarily affect luxury goods. Speaking at an investor meeting during the ongoing IMF World Bank annual meetings in Washington, D.C., Edu explained that the bill currently before the National Assembly aims to gradually raise VAT on luxury goods, while essential items consumed by poor and vulnerable Nigerians will remain exempt from VAT or attract a zero rate. He noted that a list of essential goods exempted from VAT will be made available to the public in due course. The World Bank President, Ajay Banga, has unveiled plans to connect 300 million women to internet access by 2030. This initiative is part of the World Bank's broader strategy to tackle gender inequality and support economic development, ensuring that women are not excluded from the global digital revolution. The program will prioritize areas where women face their greatest challenges, including 15 African countries, and will combine digital connectivity with skills development and access to financial services. The federal government and private sector stakeholders have called for a nationwide adoption of a market-led extension service model driven by micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, as a sustainable solution to agricultural productivity. This was among the key issues discussed at the National Agricultural Extension Service Impact Sharing Workshop held in Abuja with the theme Innovations in Market-Led Extension Service Delivery in Nigeria. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, represented by the Director, Federal Department of Agricultural Extension Services, Dr. Deola Lord Banju, stressed the vital role of pluralistic agricultural extension service in achieving food sufficiency and transforming Nigeria's agricultural landscape. The minister noted that MSMEs have been transformed into extension delivery firms through training and coaching. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has officially commenced the process of settling its $6 billion debt. This is according to the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Wale Edun, while addressing concerns about the NNPCL's financial situation, which had become stressed due to its outstanding obligations to suppliers, explained that although the fuel subsidy was removed in May of 2023, the company faced financial challenges due to foreign exchange costs. The House of Representatives has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to issue more new 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira currency notes and begin the gradual withdrawal of the old Naira notes from circulation before the deadline of December 31, 2024. The House also asked the CBN to order commercial banks to forthwith stop cash payment to their customers with owed 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira notes, but instead engage in gradual mopping up of the old Naira notes, urging the Apex Bank to kickstart awareness programs for Nigerians to be aware and prepare for the deadline of December 31, 2024. The resolutions followed the adoption of a motion moved by a member representing Ogbaru Federal Constituency of Anambra State, Afam Victor Ogene, at plenary as he recalled the hardship, frustration, controversy, and chaotic situation occasioned by CBN's Naira redesign policy in 2023 that affected validity of their old 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira notes at the time that resulted in litigations. On the foreign scene, Chinese President Xi Jinping says the world is facing serious challenges. Jinping, speaking to leaders of BRICS emerging economies on the final day of the BRICS summits in Russian city of Kazan, urged the group to be a stabilizing force. Addressing assembled leaders, Xi says the common march of the global south towards modernity is a major event in world history. In the meantime, Russian President Vladimir Putin says BRICS summit that the Middle East is on the verge of a full-scale war. Putin told a meeting in Kazan attended by several world leaders that the military action that started a year ago in Gaza has now spread to Lebanon. Other countries in the region are also affected. He noted that violence in the Middle East will not end until the creation of an independent Palestinian state. In the same vein, Palestinian ambassador to Nigeria, Abdullah Abdul Shawesh, says the conflict in Gaza is not a humanitarian crisis, but a U.S.-Israel genocide purportedly with the largest home of child amputees in modern history. Ambassador Shawesh stated this during a press briefing in Abuja, where he noted that 171 infants have been killed. Global Television correspondent Anthony Momodu tells us more.
The Palestinian ambassador stated that a total of 35,055 children are allegedly living without parents, 11,673 women, and 1,047 medical staff, and 117 journalists killed. He described the alleged disturbing figures of lives lost in the Gaza conflict as worrisome and inhuman.
It is not a humanitarian crisis. It is the United States of America Israeli genocide, period. Call a spade, spade. Gaza is home for the largest cohort of children and youths in modern history. The smell of death is everywhere as bodies are left lying on the roads or under the rubble. In North Gaza, people are just waiting to die. They feel deserted, hopeless, and alone.
He stressed the urgent need of the world to speak up against the war crimes perpetrated by Israel, assuring the press and the rest of the world of the accuracy and authenticity of statistics of casualties of the 384th day conflict.
Silence is required when children sleep, not when they are slaughtered like sheep, right in the front of the world's eyes. Silence is complicity. Blinken and the United States of America is part of the problem, not the solution.
Reports of death toll from the Gaza conflict are disturbing and should prompt actions from world leaders and agencies to end the unjust carnage. Anthony Momodu reporting for Global Television.
Thank you, Anthony. Hama Amadou, the former Prime Minister of Niger, renowned for his political resilience and comebacks, has died at the age of 74 in Niamey, the country's capital. That's according to his family. Reports say the giant of Nigerian politics passed away overnight from Wednesday to Thursday after contracting malaria. Tributes have flooded social media for Amadou, who served as Prime Minister from 1995 to 1996 under President Mohamed Osman, and again from 2000 to 2007 under President Mamadou Tanja. He later became Speaker of the Parliament from 2011 to 2014. Commonwealth heads of government are preparing to defy the United Kingdom and agree plans to examine reparatory justice for the transatlantic slave trade. Downing Street insists the issue is not on the agenda for the summit of 56 Commonwealth countries, which begins in the Pacific island nation of Samoa, but diplomatic sources say officials were negotiating an agreement to conduct further research and begin a meaningful conversation about an issue which could potentially leave the United Kingdom owing billions of pounds in reparations. Let's catch some excitement quickly from the world of sports. The Super Eagles of Nigeria have moved up by 3 spots to place world 36th in the October FIFA ranking. In the ranking table on the website of the World Football Governing Body, Nigeria garnered 1503.29 points within the period under review. The senior men's national team defeating Libya in the first leg match of the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers in Uyo also reflected positively on the continental position, as the team ranked 4th behind Morocco, Senegal and Egypt instead of the 6th spots they had occupied in September. That's a good place to be, isn't it? Super Eagles goalkeeper Stanley Wambali has been nominated for the prestigious 2024 CAF Goalkeeper of the Year award. A post by CAF via X revealed that the shot-stopper joins a distinguished list of 10 nominees representing the cream of African goalkeeping talent. The nomination sees Wambali competing alongside established names in African football, including Morocco's Yassine Bounou, now in Saudi Arabia, Egyptian goalkeeper Mostafa Choubert, and Senegal's Djigui Diarra. And that's all I have for you on the AM News here on Global Television. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. But I would like to remind you quickly that we are on the STV channel 365, Star Times 276, and free to air on Nightcomsat. Follow us across all social media platforms to engage with us using the handle at Global TV NG and other handles as you now see on your screen. The rest of Global Morning continues shortly. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Points on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Points weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Points. This is business.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bonds, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get talking about insecurity now across this country, whether it's up north or somewhere in the southeast. A couple of things are starting to come to the surface now, including the issue of one Mr. Igu, who has now been arrested somewhere in Imo State, alleged to be the founder of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra. Of course, if you have been conversant with the news the last few years, you are definitely not going to be ignorant of the mayhem that IPOB, as it's popularly called, has done, the havoc it has wreaked across the southeast, particularly within the states of Anambra and Imo. And you turn up north, a certain Bello Turji has been on the wanted list of the military for quite some time now. But just yesterday, the Minister of Defense, Badaru, now says that, look, going forward is of importance. As a matter of fact, an issue of priority that Bello be arrested by means. In the middle of that, we have the conversation around weapon smuggling, how they get into the hands of criminals across Nigeria. One angle to the story is that Gulf of Guinea is a popular route for this smuggling. Then, of course, the National Security Advisor says that these arms, for the most part, are sold by criminal elements in the past. And now the Defense Headquarters has responded to say, look, even the government-owned arms that are in the hands of criminals were stolen, not that they were necessarily smuggled or stolen and sold by men and officers in the police and the military. Well, that's the conversation we need to have this morning. I'm joined live via Zoom from Kano State, Nigeria this morning by a security and intelligence experts, Ahmed who will help us find some sense in all of these very disturbing developments as we now find in this country. Yahuza, I'd like to say thank you to you, first of all, for jumping on the conversation this Friday morning. And I'd like to ask you straight away, I mean, you and I have spent some time talking about insecurity in this country in recent times. Talk to our viewers as to the reason the issue of Bello Turji has become more like some sort of hide and seek.
Well, good morning, viewers. Good morning, Mr. Tawi. The reason to that is 7 outline reasons. One, is and from Shinkafi local government, precisely in Zamfara state, not really more than 17 to 35 at maximum kilometers from where he was born and where he used to stay between Nigeria border and Niger Republic border. The second reason is Bello Turji has been terrorizing the Sokoto and Zamfara states, most especially the areas of Shinkafi, Isa, Sabambani, Boranyo, Zurmi, and like down to Talata Mafara and a part of Kaurana, we can say. And number 3, Bello Turji has been exposed, or the key personality that has been exposed in all kind of demonstrating ability to utilize the social media, which the government and the security agencies have no control. Number 4, Bello Turji has been known to be setting or fixing fine, charging the communities to pay a certain amount of money for them to be allowed to cultivate their farmland. Number 5, Bello Turji has been in control, has been known since Buhari administration to be the person that led the burning of a bus with more than 40 people alive, including some of the pregnant mothers. So this has really been very touching. And number 6, almost has been speaking on the tribal basis, so using the social media, responding to government that he is ready for death, and he knows that he is a dead body, and so on and so forth. So this challenge
I will have to apologize, Yahuza. We need to take a quick break now so we can quickly fix our audio. We're back shortly so we can continue with this very interesting narrative that you are pushing right now. Sam,